Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We are live, my friends. It is Tuesday, the 12th day of October, 2010. We had him on a few weeks ago. He's going to pop back in for an hour. Alex Abella, one of the few people to ever be given access to the RAND Corporation, one of the key globalist think tanks that is charting much of the architecture of this global government that is being formed. He is coming up in the next hour. We are going to cover a raft of vital news and information today. The controlled implosion of the global economy is obviously accelerating, and the architects of this system are calling for a global syndicate of banks, the ones that have created the very crisis we're in, to be allowed to set interest rates globally, control currencies, and tax the world population. So we're going to be going over that after the break. Paul Joseph Watson has the key article up at prisonplanet.com. Government prepares to seize private pensions. And CNBC's reporting how wonderful this is. Many other mainstream publications are now rolling out what we told you 5 years ago they were planning to do when they began to change the laws and regulations ahead of this. And, of course, that integrates back into the March article 5-6 months ago. Failed banks may get pension fund backing as FDIC seeks cash. And then you read the article, it says they're already, and this was earlier this year, ordering major private pension systems to, quote, invest, as if the federal government can order, but they are. They're giving them an offer they can't refuse because the federal regulators can basically nickel and dime them and shut them down anytime they want. They're telling them you will invest in failed banks. So they've already stolen most of the money. They're now just getting you ready for the public theft when the pension funds all start going down completely, or you're getting into serious trouble and having your benefits cut. They're preparing you for the austerity measures when the government takes over the pensions in the name of bailing them out, in the name of protecting them. Yes, protecting them. So we're going to be discussing that and going over exactly what's happening in other parts of the world. Europe is already about 2 years ahead of us in this. French workers threaten general strike in response to austerity, cuts in their pay, increases in taxes, massive cuts in their government and private pensions. It's already happening. Key article by Kurt Nimmo today. And he links to the London Guardian and other reports going over this. Here's another incredible report out yesterday. Greek health system opts for amputation as money saver. They will not give any treatments to try to save arms or legs with diabetes patients. They're just going to chop your arms and legs off, even though the limbs are savable. And all the studies show that will lead to an early death of these people. And more money in the healthcare system. But this is the death panels now being announced here in the United States, part of austerity. Also, U.S. cities face $500 billion of pension deficits, so they're already going bankrupt there with the police and fire and school teacher pensions. It's all been planned. We've laid it out with total precision, because we've seen the globalists do this in countless third world countries, which the IMF World Bank documents that got leaked in 2002 to the BBC showed that was just test model cases in Argentina, Nigeria, and places like that. Now that they were planning to do it in Western Europe, the United States, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and other, quote, Western wealthy nations, the mass looting is now here. You think you've seen trillions stolen by the banks. You think watching 6 million dead and dying veterans from World War II through Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm 1, and Operation Iraqi Freedom. You think it's bold to steal their death benefits and not give the insurance money that they paid for to their widows and widowers. You think that's bold? We ain't seen nothing yet. They're getting ready to really rape this society financially. The financial takeover is here. It is brazen. It is naked. Nothing like it has ever been seen before. So get ready. We are now plunging into the abyss.
Before
You've heard Alex explain how the Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced colloidal silver solutions, yet many are unaware of the entire function of the Silver Lungs system and how it has been designed to deliver your silver solutions anywhere in or on the body. My name is Mario Cifaldi, and I'm the developer of the Silver Lungs generator. Not only does the Silver Lungs system produce endless colloidal and ionic silver solutions, it also comes equipped with the proper applicators and devices needed to deliver your silver solutions directly to key target areas. This includes the eyes, ears, nose, lungs, topically to the skin, and orally for the digestive system. Be sure to watch our new 7-minute video tour of the Silver Lungs system at www.silverlungs.com to learn more about how the Silver Lungs system works. As well, we are always ready to answer any questions you may have. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at PrisonPlanet.tv. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
It is Tuesday, the 12th day of October, 2010. They're issuing new terror threats ahead of the election, right on time, not just for Europe, but for the United States. New York Daily News, terror threat to restaurants as Al-Qaeda, you mean Al-Qaeda, calls for attacks on government workers in D.C. But don't worry, the government run by the banks that are literally scalping our financial system and our economy, don't worry. They are going to keep you safe with submachine guns and naked body scanners and checkpoints and citizen spies. Over 95% of the entire architecture of this high-tech police state grid is pointed at gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, land rights activists. But that's okay. Al-Qaeda's going to get you. That's why a tiny bit of it is spent on surveilling Muslims and what people could call Muslim extremists. And there certainly are some Fruit Loops out there. And every time they catch one of them trying to plan a shooting or something, they hype it up like it's the end of the world. Meanwhile, the crime wave pouring across from Mexico, that's just kept on the back burner. The 28,000 deaths, the massive murders and kidnappings in the United States, that's not a problem. That's not a threat. No, it's those evil gun owners you've got to watch. So we're going to be going over those reports today. The U.S. says they're alarmed by harsh tone of China's military. Well, China owns most of our debt. After that, the private Federal Reserve. And I've got an article here about hundreds of thousands of acres being leased in South Texas for oil drilling and gas drilling by the communist Chinese government. So if they're such a big threat, why are they allowed to do that? But see, even the headline's deceptive. U.S. alarmed by harsh tone of China's military. Our country was conquered in 1913 by the private banking syndicate. Since then, they've expanded their control over the states and locales, and they're looting the nation. And so to even say the U.S. even exists anymore is a lie. You've got to admit we are under globalist control so that we can point out that it's fraudulent and illegitimate. But if you don't know you're occupied by a corporate government, by a shadow government that's now coming out into the open, if you don't admit that, you can never set about remedying it. Instead, we just rearrange deck chairs of, well, we'll put Obama in because Bush was bad. Well, we'll put Mitt Romney or Sarah Palin in. They'll save us. Really. Don't hold your breath. You'll hear a lot of rhetoric, but once they get in, they won't reverse but maybe a few token things and then expand a bunch of other police state operations. It was Lord Bush just, 5 years ago, and the Republicans and Democrats in the Congress that changed the law and the regulations so that, I remember seeing this in the news, and they were pitching it like it was good, so that private pension funds, corporations, can sell off their assets or create a new subsidiary and then not pay the pensions to the employees that signed contracts and agreements for those pensions. Boy, that was a big red flag. And now it's just all continuing under Barack Hussein Obama, real name Barry Soetoro. But I forgot, the gatekeeper Republican talk show host have told us that there's no evidence that he's really Indonesian or gave up his citizenship, even though it's an admitted fact, or that he was born in Kenya, and so you're supposed to sit there and shut up and sit down. Of course, the same people told us 5 years ago there was no plan for world government, but I heard Beck's fill-in host admitting world government this morning. But it's all run by George Soros and some low-level liberals under him. No, George Soros is one wing of this criminal system. And Media Matters put out a report just a few days ago that was one of the only accurate things I've ever seen him put out, George Soros-funded outfit. And they said, well, if you're against Fabian Socialist, you should be against all these Republicans who've signed on to the same plan. And they listed all the Fabian Socialist supporters in the Republican Party tied in with the London School of Economics. But by the way, you guys removed yesterday's stacks, which is great. But will you dig out those articles trying to blame myself and Glenn Beck for that guy that got in a shootout with the police in Southern California, who now gave an interview to Media Matters, of course, because they're basically a government operation. All the evidence shows. And I got a call from their head editor, the head guy over there, and it was a bizarre interview. And then he kept saying, you didn't record this, did you? And he said, even if it's one-party consent states that we're both in, you really shouldn't record me. And I said, I just told you I didn't record you. And he didn't seem to believe that. And it was a very strange interview. He was acting all friendly, but obviously I knew better. And you know what? I thought, why don't we try to get that guy on? In fact, give me his email and bio, Joe, whatever his name is, because I'm going to talk about it coming up in the last hour a little bit, because it was so bizarre talking to this George Soros outfit. Because he was saying, well, we're not funded by George Soros. So I was pulling up federal filings that, okay, George Soros gave money to MoveOn.org that gave money and helped found in 2005 Media Matters. And he was like, well, I don't want to talk about that. I mean, they play all these little games, but then it got even stranger. And I'll talk about it more in the next hour, or actually in the last hour, the third hour. Perhaps we should call him today and just see if we can get Joe on. Because he kept saying, well, Glenn Beck has been calling for violence. And I said, well, show me where. Show me in your article. He says, well, it's right here. So I sat there on the phone with him for an hour. I read the whole article that they'd written. It was like 20 pages long with him on the phone. And nowhere did Glenn Beck call for violence against the Tides Foundation that this lunatic was supposedly going to go shoot up. Byron Williams.